Should I really do my first commentary on a video about doodle tones? Oh, I'll be fine.
Let me entertain you. Let me make you smile. Let me do a few tricks, some old and then some new tricks. I'm very versatile. So let me entertain you, and we'll have a real good time.
So, for context, a commentator called the Pink Robot did a rant on doodle tones which basically showed examples of how she could be a hypocrite. With that said, I might as well get my bias out of the way. Yes, I am a fan of doodle tones, but I'm not trying to blindly defend her. Well, at least not intentionally. I'm not forcing Pink Robot to like her, and I even agreed with half the points the video brought up. However, I personally thought the video had issues in certain areas, and, well, that's why I'm doing this.
Point 2.
I'd also say pick your battles better, because Lord knows the beginning of this year was a problem with that on its own. And no, I'm not just saying that because I was the main target of mindless dribble and borderline transphobia for pretty much the entire year. The fact that the alt-CC shit even got as big as it did and stuck around as long as it did is exactly what I'm talking about. When people want to shit to stir and want a fight to break out, that's when we should start ignoring them and let them yell into the abyss.
Oh really? While the idea of stepping away when one wants to start a fight over petty shit is certainly noble, I can't even really give her that either. She lasted all but a month without talking about petty drama that was being out to be started. Afterwards, she and Master TP10 made a commentary on the Dark Commentator and DHT commentaries talking about this ImageGate nonsense. To explain, DHT commentaries saw people criticizing commentators for using a single picture for their avatar and made a video saying that people shouldn't do that, considering it's their style of editing. He made this a rule for commentators with the clear intent to get people to jump on one another's case about petty shit like this, wanting to start drama, at least in typical DHT fashion, from what I've seen.
And eventually it got so stupid that people forgot why it was enacted to begin with and why people were recommending for you to get rid of your black borders. It was so fucking dumb to where people thought that having a black background was bad or having a white background was bad. They just completely lost sight of what black borders meant. And for all the people that criticize black borders matter, something new has arisen, and I haven't really seen too many people complaining about it.
Honestly, good. We don't need everyone complaining about it. If there's an issue, fine, address it. But not everyone needs to make a video about the subject. This isn't the Brony analysis community talking about how one of their bigger members is a convicted pedophile. This is the much smaller commentary community talking about whether it's okay to use more than one image in a fucking video.
Dylan, Black Borders Matter lost its way because people started rallying against it, calling it a nitpick that doesn't matter and misunderstanding why people would bring it up as a criticism at all, and others using it as a stupid buzzword for anything that had black in the background. Hell, you even bring the latter up, so you should understand this.
DHT was notorious for wanting to start fights in the commentary community as he was, from what I understand, one of the founders to the alternative commentary community, who was a group of people out to start drama within the community, and Doodle and TP spent almost 40 minutes, giving him exactly what he would have wanted if he hadn't had left before they released their video, but we'll return to this point later.
I might have given you this point if Doodle Tones and TP were only commentating on Dylan Thomas and they had no other purpose in mind for doing so, because that would show Doodle Tones was blatantly going against her own advice for no good reason. However, that's not the case here. For starters, they're also commentating on the Dark Commentator, who not only seems to be earnest and wanting to improve, but since Dark's commentary was on Dylan Thomas, they would have to acknowledge and potentially debunk Dylan's original arguments for the sake of getting every side of the issue, so they would have to talk about Dylan at some point.
Oh, but Pink Robot's example shows that Doodle and TP were directly arguing Dylan's point without mentioning Dark at all. They didn't have to do that if they were just commentating on the Dark Commentator.
Why, thank you, Miss Strawman, but your point leads me to my second argument. The ImageGate commentary had another purpose outside of just commentating on the two of them. The point of the video was to talk about the one-picture avatar drama, and Doodle Tones and TP were commentating on Dark and Dylan in order to show the issues both sides had. By the way, keep this point in mind, it'll be coming back again later.
But if they're still commentating on Dylan Thomas, wouldn't Doodle still be going against her own advice about not commentating on people who like to start drama?
If she was only commentating on Dylan, then I would agree with that, because then her only source of information would be a guy who's just doing this to start drama. But since she's also commentating on the Dark Commentator, Doodle and TP have more than just Dylan's voice in this situation. And since they're using both of their videos to speak to the community as a whole, I'd say this doesn't break her rules, since Doodle and TP were doing them more in this situation than just commentating on a guy who's starting drama.
Oh well, can't blame the girl for trying. Sayonara!
Why does she always pop in to try and prove me wrong?
On the note of ImageGate, Doodle has, for a while, pitched the idea that there are no rules to commentaries.
The biggest problem with where the CC is falling, what with the Black Borders Matter, and I guess this intro gate as Flipper is calling it, is that people are looking for a reason to bitch. With Black Borders Matter, it's mainly a critique on a person's presentation. With intro gate, it's a person challenging the notion that there are rules to commentaries, and pushing oneself to the limit. If you look at each of these things from this mindset, the detractors become really pointless and awfully stupid, because those people are really trying to shove the CC into a particular place where if you ask the community to change, then you are the villain. And that's really a problem. For those who wish to join the CC, don't worry too much about falling under a particular box. Find your own style and go with it.
Yet anytime someone commentated on Magical Pocky Usagi, she brings up the fact that their trolls are the main problem with the video, putting a rule to whether or no people can commentate on a troll or not and under which specific circumstances.
Why are you doing a commentary on Magical Pocky Usagi? She is old news. She hasn't been relevant since 2007. In August of 2007, so she hasn't been relevant for 8 years now.
Well, I suppose while that's true, you could have very well pointed out the fact that she's a troll, which you never do in your video. You just kind of point out the fact that Magical Pocky Usagi is outdated and irrelevant, which, as I've said, isn't wrong. But here's why I point this out, and pardon the tangent I'm about to go on. I point out the fact that pointing out Magical Pocky Usagi as a troll would be better because for the sake of this argument, let's just say that she isn't a troll. The question then becomes, does she still stand by the video she made 8 years ago? I mean, sure, there's no way of knowing for certain as her last video was made in 2009, but again, let's just say, for the sake of this argument, she does. She still stands by the video and thinks it's one of her best videos. At that point, you can still point out flaws from the video to debunk something that they still stand behind. Pointing out the fact that Magical Pocky Usagi is a troll is better on the basis of, this shows that you shouldn't take her videos at all seriously, and doing a commentary on it only gives her what she wanted at the time. I know this seems to go against the law what I've commentated on in the past, and I know some people may call me out with some previous targets shown on this channel, but the difference with Sonic Master 16, EMG Rants, and Pikachu Gamer, some of my prime examples of this, is that Sonic Master and Pika were commentating on people who I eventually pointed out were trolls, and in the case of EMG Rants, it was a video that was impossible to tell if Sailor Moon Red 1 still actually stood behind, as Google Hangouts could very well have updated in the time frame of half a year. My overall point, though, is pointing out the fact that Magical Pocky Usagi isn't relevant isn't actually giving them something to work off of, especially considering that you don't at all dive deeper into this point and just kind of give Astro-chan here the tip of the iceberg. So I guess it's a roundabout way of telling you to try again.
Listen to all those rules she places on the commentary community. Can't cover a video people don't stand behind. Can't cover people who are a troll because they're not serious. What kind of logic are you pitching here, Doodle? Again, I know she has gone on to argue against this stuff, but give it time. She may go back on it again and say that people can't cover trolls.
Okay, this is a minor point overall, but don't you think that's stretching it? She didn't specifically say that you can't commentate on a video someone no longer stands behind, and she definitely did not say you're not allowed to commentate on a troll, at least in the example you showed. She wasn't even framing either of these points as rules. At worst, she was saying that you shouldn't commentate on a troll because you wouldn't be pointing out flaws they actually stand behind. Now, to be fair, I guess you could argue that her wording could imply this, but it doesn't help that this example was just Doodle giving Sean a suggestion on what he could have said to further his point. Because the purpose of Doodle's tangent wasn't to speak out against the concept of commentating on a troll in general, but just to give Sean advice. Now, if you wanted a scenario that would have been a better example for this point, here you go.
That said, no, I don't believe videos that are disowned inherently cannot be criticized. However, you would either need proof that the creator of the video still has these issues and thus has not learned from their past mistakes, or you use the video to explain to outside sources that were not the video creator themselves what the problems with the video were, so they can learn from the creator's mistakes themselves. To criticize a video that has been disowned where you act as if the video is still relevant is really dumb, if I were to use that term, because if they've disowned the video, that inherently means they don't still stand behind the video and have probably learned new information that has given them a new perspective. This will be important all throughout the video.
Unlike your last example, she flat out says that making a response to an old video in this instance is stupid, therefore it's much easier to imply from this clip that Doodle thinks you should never make response videos in this situation. That's a much better example of Doodle implying that there are rules to commentaries than the one you brought up. Now that said, I get that you likely don't care for Doodle Tone, so obviously you're not going to come through every one of her videos to find evidence, but you later use a clip from this video to prove a point, so there's no excuse. Also, you specifically mentioned both of Doodle's commentaries on Magical Pocky Usagi, and stated that Doodle is against people commentating on trolls in both of these videos. The problem is, this claim is absolutely false, and it can be seen at the very beginning of her second video.
Alright, so today we're visiting a time traveler. Again. Meet the girl with the pink cat, who I guess travels through time to find old topics that I wouldn't even poke at with a 10-foot pole. And for the following group of minutes, you're about to see her cover our good friend Magical Pocky Usagi, who we previously saw back in my Sean Samson commentary. For those not caught up, Magical Pocky Usagi is a troll who hasn't been around since 2009, meaning she's both digging up a corpse, which I don't really have a problem with, and is reviewing or commentating or just overall responding to someone who's not to be taken seriously at all. But you know what? Let's give this person the benefit of doubt. I suppose you could make a response on a troll and still be correct. Okay, there were several times throughout this video where I just wanted to cut it early on the sheer basis that you left me with nothing to say, and the reason behind that is not because your video was good, it's because a lot of this review or response was really nothing but a poor attempt at a riff. Yeah, shut up, I know it's hypocrisy, but let me finish. The difference of Pinky here and us is intent. I had a few points, certainly, but most of what I wanted to do was joke around. Pinky was not. I left in a lot of these points we had riffed on to show that Pinky was taking Usagi to heart, and that's not good. I mean, yes, you can commentate on a troll and still be correct, but you were not in the few actual points that you actually made. Everything else was you complaining that she's not Japanese, she's a total psycho, she doesn't know her Japanese culture, without realizing that Magical Pocky Usagi is both a troll and his really old topic, being that she's not even around anymore. Which neither are inherent flaws, except you do nothing with them, and that's not mentioning the fact that you wished her harm. Not very many points, not very many criticisms, this was just a salt-filled poke at Magical Pocky Usagi because you thought she was gonna be easy. If I wanted to watch Astro-chan, I would have watched Astro-chan. Combined with the fact that this wasn't even straightforward as to what this wanted to be, this whole thing was doomed from the word go.
Now, yes, you did acknowledge that she's arguing against this now, and how she could easily change her mind given her track record. However, you brought up both commentaries as examples of how Doodle Tones is implying that you can't commentate on trolls, despite the fact that she wasn't against the idea in one of them at all. Now, I'll admit I could be missing something, but since you didn't even use a clip from her other commentary to prove that Doodle was saying people can't cover trolls, then you don't have anything to back up this claim.
The most infuriating parts are how she deals with criticism. Oftentimes, when Doodle gets critiqued, she'll slap a disowned stamp on her commentaries and consider them bad videos, despite the fact they're still monetized. I could maybe give it she's too lazy to fix it. It's one thing to admit to your faults and actually make an effort to never do them again, it's another to admit to your faults, do them again, and act like the first time never happened. But it's another entirely to get a small amount of backlash and admit to your faults then because you want to actively avoid being criticized. Doodle very oftentimes does the latter, as she will often get onto people's cases for bringing up old examples to how she can be an idiot.
He never said that it wouldn't do any damage. He just said that it wouldn't do enough to destroy the world, idiot.
Yeah, that was a problem with my point. I had misinterpreted what Jar was saying all throughout the video and in turn kept arguing that these Pokemon would cause damage instead of straight up destroying Earth. This, by all means, is a valid point. Such a shame that I learned that in May of 2016, whereas this is November of 2017, so this point is redundant and wouldn't do anything towards my recent content. Unless you by chance wish to actually tie it into that, which you're gonna do, right? Right?
She obviously thinks someone covering old videos people no longer stand behind is in fact a problem, but going back to the video with Master TP10, the dark commentator disowned that video prior to Doodle's commentary, and DHT left outright, so neither of them stood behind the debate that was had, and Doodle even acknowledges this.
Now Dylan, I honestly don't expect you to take this criticism, if for no other reason than you recently left commentaries. But this video is an awful problem I saw when it came to Black Borders Matter, and Joshua Colbyhouse and Blaze the Movie Fan also made videos relating to the topic, so I honestly don't care.
Well, looks like Context.exe has left the building. But seriously, this really wasn't a good example. First off, Dark's video wasn't old. It was uploaded on January 27th of this year. And while I can't find the date to Dylan's video anymore, I can likely assume it wasn't far behind. The ImageGate commentary, on the other hand, came out a mere 12 days after Dark's video was released, which means there were still new things to say about it. Also, Doodle didn't say there was inherently a problem with covering disowned videos. You used a clip from her Megatron commentary as evidence for this claim, but in that very same video, she said this.
No, I don't believe videos that are disowned inherently cannot be criticized. However, you would either need proof that the creator of the video still has these issues and thus has not learned from their past mistakes, or you use the video to explain to outside sources that were not the video creator themselves what the problems with the video were, so they can learn from the creator's mistakes themselves.
And surprise, surprise, that's what Doodle Tones and TP were doing with the ImageGate commentary. I'll be repeating myself a bit here, but the main point of the commentary was to point out how stupid the ImageGate drama was on both sides, how this was Black Borders Matter all over again, and to explain why they felt this was the case to their audience in the hopes that this won't happen again. She even flat out said this in the clip you played.
But this video was an awful problem I saw when it came to Black Borders Matter, and Joshua Colby-House and Blaze the Movie Fan also made videos relating to the topic, so I honestly don't care.
If you paid attention to the whole commentary, you would see that Doodle thinks there are situations where covering an old Disowned video is okay, and if this were said in a different video, then that might play into your point about how Doodle is inconsistent. But since it was in the same video, you don't even have that argument, because in this case you're just cherry-picking parts of the argument to misconstrue what she was saying. Objection!
It gets even more infuriating when Doodle uses this same tactic of bringing up past shit to show how much she has taken criticisms from people, despite how long ago this shit was, and how much she has gotten better from her past misdemeanors.
Textbook signs that Doodle Tones is a social justice warrior. Congratulations, Doodle Tones! You single-handedly destroyed the commentary community with your sick desires along with your refusal to take criticism and seek help.
I'm just gonna leave the seek help part alone, as that's pretty much a sure sign you've run out of stuff to say about me. Now, as for my presumed refusal to take criticism, may I remind you that what these people were putting in the comment section wasn't criticism, it was simply blasting me for daring to call out Mr. Medicare and support people's right to have a fucking king. When I see legitimate criticism, I either leave it be or I take it into account. You're talking to a person who took actual criticism to better myself when I first joined the commentary community. It was actual criticism that got me where I am today.
This is fucking stupid! You cannot take any goddamn criticism. You can seriously label these motherfuckers as sociopaths because how dare they criticize me?
I can't take any criticism. Until I do, right? Oh, let me count the ways, Master TP10, Jester Robot, Mr. Medicare.
Once again, only in a positive light is her old stuff valid.
I'm sorry, how is mentioning the TP Jar and Medicare incidents as examples of taking criticism a bad thing? If she was backhandedly insulting them, like she's admittedly done to people before, then I can understand this. But the examples you brought up are people claiming that Doodle can't take criticism, and Doodle then debunking these claims by bringing up incidents where she did take the criticism given to her. Now granted, I think Doodle should have gone into more detail on what criticism she took from those videos, since just disowning the video doesn't automatically mean the creator learned from it, because it could just be a form of damage control, but I don't see the problem with just bringing them up as examples to debunk claims she believes are false. I guess your reason for disliking this is because you believe it's hypocritical for Doodle to bring up her old video in a positive light because she said that people should never cover disowned videos. But even the basis for that claim is wrong, since there are plenty of times where she brings up her old videos in a negative light.
I figure this should all be obvious to you guys. I would honestly hope it's obvious to you all, but I'm not proud of everything I released this year. I honestly make more mistakes than I would like to, and honestly with how high my viewer base puts me, I can easily call myself one of the most overrated commentators of all time. So, with that said, it should be no surprise that on the Doodle Tones Top 10 Worst Commentaries of 2016, a Doodle Tones video would eventually show itself. But let me start this video by thanking Logan Bernier for requesting this commentary, and also saying to those on Twitter who say that I'm an awful commentator, trust me, I know. Shut up, February me. God, how the fuck did I let this monstrosity happen? Yeah, you guys wanna know a fun fact about this video that makes this easily the worst video I ever put out? I knew the video didn't feel right while posting it. I grant you I didn't know how awful the video was, but the fact of the matter is I shouldn't have posted it, but I did anyway. Guess the discovery that the commentary community during that time all had sniper rifles pointed at my head, that also didn't really help. But knowing that I didn't even really like the video when I first posted it and had the lowest self-esteem that I had this year, can you really blame me for having a hard time sitting through this video? If you want someone to not use your avatars, you would use one that you yourself created, like Ryan does. I mean, there's some videos I still haven't sat through on that video, not because they were bad, but because sitting through this video is nearly impossible for me. Hell, just writing this script, I had to sit and squirm through my own personal hell. My blatant double standards, my repetition of Zerrick's joke as if it meant anything, all of the jokes I took seriously.
What the fuck was any of that?
You tell me, you're the one who went on a 50-second tangent about your headcanon. The only one who would know what the fuck that was would be you. Hell, this is the only video I actually changed the name to show my distaste for. Please keep in mind this is only number 5, just imagine what I think of these other videos. So I never thought I'd sit down to talk about 2 entries in one of the worst lists, but the more that I think about it, the more it only makes sense for me to talk about the 2 in tandem. They're not tied, I can certainly put one over the other, and that Richards is easily worse than Icy's as far as I'm concerned, but the fact of the matter is, these are how not to do live-based commentaries. With an honorable mention to the disjointed fuckfest that was my Kirome Toa live commentary, despite it not being on the overall list.
It doesn't...
Also, Pretty Kitty, so it's because I'm acknowledging the chat here. Pretty Kitty. Oh, you know, you shouldn't put this video on public blast. You should bring it up with him in private because you have so-and-so issues. Couldn't you say the exact same thing with Kirome's video on me? Couldn't you say the exact same thing with anyone's video on anyone?
Every commentary ever made.
Yeah. There's a Danganronpa joke here, I swear, by Doodle Tones. In hindsight, knowing that Duke does actually stand behind a lot of his video on the CC is also kinda shitty, but that wouldn't change the fact that my video hit a lot of buttons with people, as I just kinda came off as a condescending bitch myself. Yeah, when I say everyone was at each other's throats, I mean it. I was no exception to the rule.
funny, she didn't have anything positive to say about her old stuff in those videos. And these aren't even the only examples of her doing this. There was also that countdown Doodle made where she listed off her top 10 worst commentaries. But I can kind of let that one slide, since it's possible you merely didn't see the video when going through Doodle's channel. That being said, there's no excuse for you missing the other examples I brought up, since you used both of Doodle's worst commentary of the year lists in your video. Now yes, just because someone points out their past mistakes doesn't mean they've learned from them. However, if Doodle Tones only looked at her old stuff in a positive light, like you claimed, these examples would not exist.
Despite her efforts, she still refuses to take any form of criticism. That kid Douglas made a video on Doodle explaining other faults with Doodle, her shady behavior, her inability to take criticism, how she wants to be in a safe space of ideas. He's got a lot of good points in that video that Doodle would never know, because she's even stated she didn't care to watch it.
What are your thoughts on that kid Douglas's video on me? I think he doesn't understand what throwing under the bus means. That would seem to be one of his bigger things. On top of that, some of his evidence used is either woefully outdated or incorrect in general as to what throwing under the bus is. Like, one of his pieces of evidence, looking at his description, was self-destructing mud hole. So that goes back to how he doesn't understand what being thrown under the bus means.
I'm gonna go on a quick tangent about Doodle for this one, because I feel like there's something that needs to be said. Doodle, if you're watching this, considering that this video was unlisted, I can guess you don't stand behind what you say in here, but it's still disheartening to hear you completely dismiss Douglas's video, mainly because he used old drama as evidence. I didn't even like Douglas's video myself, but you should know that just because someone brings up old drama, that doesn't automatically mean they're not gonna tie it into your present content. I get this as a live stream and you just kind of ramble on without thinking about it too much, but honestly, that's the problem. There have been plenty of incidents, some recently, where you lashed out at someone on a livestream and ended up unlisting it or making it private because of that. Yeah, you take them down, and I do believe you regret what you say, but that's not stopping the fact that they still happen. If you really want to stop this from happening, I'd recommend streaming at a time of day when you're in a good mood, or if you're not feeling well throughout the whole day, then just hold off on the stream entirely. At the very least, try to get a moderator to help you filter out questions about drama, or try to get someone on the stream with you to help you avoid talking about drama. And that's pretty much all I want to cover. Well, except for some reason Pink Robot's video ends with a black screen that goes on for like 10 minutes, but she's already aware of this, so don't let it happen again, and it's time to go into final thought. To be clear, I really like Pink Robot as a commentator. Every other commentary I've seen from her has been great in my opinion, and while I didn't like this video as a whole, there were parts where she did a good job of pointing out flaws in Doodle Tones' content. Sadly, I can't say the same for the rest of the video. Some of the examples Pink Robot used to back up her claims are either taken out of context, had a shaky foundation, or were just flat out wrong. If you want to make another rant video, the only advice I can give is make sure you watch the video you got your examples from in full to get the full context of the point your target made, and if your claim is contradicted by something in the same video, or if the example doesn't seem to prove your point well, then I'd recommend cutting it. And that's all I have to say. If anyone has issues with this video, please feel free to comment. For all I know, this video could be hot garbage, and if that's the case, I'd really like to improve. This has been Luxter, and have a nice day.